Rock 100.5 KATT. I am Cameron Buchholtz here with Adam for Murder by Death. What's going on, man?
Just getting this tour rolling, about to load in for day 2 of 29 shows, I think. So we're cautiously optimistic.
Nice. Well, you started off last night with a sold-out show, so that's a good way to start a tour, I think.
Yeah, it was killer. It was a really good show, and people just really reacted. So I think the package is really good. I like all the bands. And I think the audience was like, thought that the whole show was exciting. It wasn't just about, you going to see your band. I think like a lot of people really enjoyed the whole thing.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, because you're kind of co-headlining with Amigo the Devil, and then Oklahoma's own Sam Crane opening up the show.
One of my favorites.
Right, who does a lot of stuff with you guys, right? Like a lot of background vocals and whatnot.
Yeah, she's on 2 songs on our new album, and then she did a song, Lost River, on our album from 10 years ago. And we toured together in 2010, and I think again in 2013 for just a little bit, but mostly we've just kept up and remained friends. And actually last summer I was driving out to Santa Fe with my wife for my 40th birthday, and she met us at Doris Campground in Oklahoma, and we did the awesome camping trip with her and her dog, which was really fun. So we
lost you for a second there. I think you're back.
Oh, sorry.
No worries, man. No worries. Such is Zoom. But now you guys are performing tomorrow night up in Tulsa at the historic Cain's Ballroom. And have you guys ever played there before? Because I can't recall.
We have. We've played there 2 times, but it's been a very long time. We opened shows in 2007 for Reverend Horton Heat, and 2008 for Clutch. So it was like super like cross genre stuff for us, and where we were just trying all different kinds of opening slots. And but so yeah, I mean, it's been 14 years, so it's been a minute.
Nice. And so this is, I mean, how is this tour working with you and Amigo? Are you guys kind of flip-flopping nights, or?
Yep. He's closing in Tulsa, but then like the next show's in Kansas City, and we'll close. And it's kind of like regional sort of, where he like, he's from Austin, and we're kind of from all over, but we were just like, well, this is kind of your neck of the woods. So, if it just made sense to just pick the show that you thought, well, if this many people come to see you and this many people come to see us, let's just make sure it's the best show possible.
Sure.
And we're both playing full sets, so it's a long show for each of us, which is, works when you have 2 bands that people want to see, like 2 bands that actually, they're not like totally polarizing people.
Right. And it's got to be a little interesting for you guys to go before him, because it's probably been a while since you've done shows in that opening slot, right?
I'm sorry, I can try a different spot.
Oh, no worries.
What was the question?
So it's going to be a little interesting to be going up before him, because it's probably been a while since you guys have been in that opening slot, right?
It's not that interesting in the sense that like we've opened so many shows in our career, and we try to do it a lot. I really like co-headline tours, because for me, it's like we've been playing for 22 years, and anytime we have the opportunity to get in front of new people, I think it's a good thing. And I don't need to be the, belle of the ball. It's like I'm a freaking blue collar career musician. Like, the show's a show. Like, when you play a festival, you're not always the last band. And so I think what makes this one maybe interesting is that we were doing the tour right up until the pandemic, and Amigo was solo and opening the tour, and then he really blew up over the course of the pandemic, and now he's got a full band, and he got so big that we're like, well, we'll just co-headline, it's fine, like, it's just the best thing for the tour. And also I think like there's so much saturation going on, where like literally every band is on tour right now. And so we were like, let's, instead of having competing tours, let's just do this many shows together. And so I think it makes it more of like an event and a night that's like hey, this is pretty special, this is a cool thing. And you're hoping to, not lose too much to people who still don't feel like going to shows right now, or feel like they've already gone to a million shows and
Hmm.
that kind of thing. So we're there's still weird shit happening from the pandemic, where it's just it's like supply chain, or stuff getting uh you know I'm in the car now.
So before I started recording, you were just saying that your phone overheated. So that's Texas in the summer.
Yeah, no, I'm just like outside doing this interview to try to stay away from the noise at the venue, and my phone said too hot, shutting down. And so I got in the car to just be air conditioned, and it immediately turned back on, which is like, that's a first for me, just like a total tech failure from the heat. But yeah,
Right.
last night in Austin we played, it was 104 degrees. It was like, ugh.
Yeah. And was it an outside show? Scoot in, it was,
It
right?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, both Austin and Dallas, and actually Kansas City too, are all outside. Like this week is all like outside. So it's been a
Yeah.
bit much, but it's fine.
Yeah, sure, sure. Some sweaty shows. But now you guys are out supporting the new record that just came out last week, Spellbound, which one thing I'm always struck by when you guys release a new record is I think my immediate reaction each one is just how different it was than the previous. Like more than any other band I can think of in recent times. You guys really mix it up for every record.
Yeah, I think we believe that is, for me, that is what you're supposed to be doing as a creative person. Like, you are supposed to be trying to make something new all the time, trying to make something fresh, and trying to explore what it is to be a writer and a creative type. And I think that, like, in our world of commodification, musicians are constantly told to not do that, and instead to, like, basically refine their sound and just make like the same version of whatever it is that somebody thinks they do over and over again. And that's kind of like the thing that, for me, I try to approach it more like I grew up in, my dad was like a traveling art dealer, so he would go set up uh exhibitions and unload crates and like sell, like, oh, here's these Salvador Dali lithos or Matisse or whatever. And so I grew up like constantly hearing about art, and so and being taught about art. And for me, I thought that was my responsibility as an artist when I started. But after 22 years in the business, it's so fascinating how few people celebrate innovation, or like trying to uh, continue to expand your creative, work, your body of work. And so I don't know. For me, it's just that's what makes sense, and that's what I want. Like, this is my life. I get to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I chose to be an artist so I could be free. And I think that we are very lucky that the audiences are thoughtful enough. The audience that we've cultivated is thoughtful enough to trust us and give it a shot. And I get messages all the time from people who are like, "Wow, I never like listened to anything like the genre of this album, but like now you're introducing me to things that I had never thought of before, or like artists from the past that you say you're referencing." And to me, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to expand people's minds. But it's interesting because, like, I think in this industry, it often is almost treated as like a negative, um, to try to pursue varied creative expressions. And I feel like but it doesn't really matter what like press says or anything. Not that we're not like a badly reviewed band. We just don't get that covered that much. So it's always kind of interesting to see the fans ultimately are the people that you know sustain us. So it's like, if they are happy and they don't mind trying something that's a little different, great. Like, we're all getting what we want. There's that relationship. I want people to be happy. I want
Sure.
I want the audience to be excited and happy, but I believe that they will be more excited and happy if we're not just peddling the same thing for 22 years, you know? It's like, I
Yeah, I
have to
mean,
find a new way.
I'm sure you're in a much better position doing what you've done than if you just remade Brother dozens of times. And
Yeah, and I don't think it's a bad exercise even to say, you know, people really like this song. What is it about this song? And then like use that as a writing exercise to see like maybe I can write a song like that. And that's cool. Like, I mean, I think anything that gets you to make something is good. And making anything is good for you, like as a person. Um, but you know, I don't want to be one of those bands that's like just like album after album of essentially the same thing. There's a couple of people that do it really well, you know, but like uh I can't do that. Like I would not do, I would quit. Like
yeah,
that's just not, if I had like, you know, industry people breathing down my neck telling me that I had to like, well, this is the song that's the most streamed, so just keep writing that. And it's like, fuck you, man. Like, no. Like
right.
that's why you know, why would I be a artist if that was how I wanted to do things, you know?
Hmm.
But the freedom, I think that's the thing that we're really grateful for, and that we like constantly check in with, is that our audience is unbelievably supportive and allows us to feel fresh and enjoy being creative people, you know? And I talk to friends who are musicians who don't feel that. And I'm like, man, I you're in a tough spot. You know, it's a tough spot to be in if you don't, if you're not doing what you want as an artist. That's
What
it's kind of a bummer.
I mean, I think it kind of goes back to the culture you guys have kind of created around the band with not just the records, but with the yearly events like the Cave shows and the Stanley Hotel shows, and just the whole mindset around the band is, I think, a little bit different than your just standard band that even plays a similar genre of music that you guys do.
Yeah, you know, I think it's funny. One of the things we get a lot of credit. There's things I feel like we don't get credit for, and then there's things I think we get like a lot of credit for.
Mhm.
And we get a lot of credit for like the event stuff we've created and curated, and like I'll see people writing about like innovation with our like Kickstarter pre-sales for our albums and stuff. But
Mhm.
it's none of that was like, that was, it was not how we intended to do things. It was just that like we always have just done what we have to do to keep being able to do this.
Mhm.
We're awkward size where we're, you know, we're not a big band. We have no major airplay that is big enough to change our careers. We have, you know, we're just not, we've never had like a big single or anything like that. So we kind of just have to figure out, well, what does work. And that's why I laugh, because it's like, I mean, I would have loved to have just been an artist who doesn't do all our own vinyl mail order. And you
Right.
know, but like once you get that started, once you start learning that side of the business and saying, well, like, well, I'd rather pay my friends and bandmates to help me fill mail order, and cut out this element of the, on the business side, and make sure the people that are in our circle are taken care of. You start, you know, maximizing, and you're like, well, we're kind of a, you know, this is a real mom and pop one-stop shop all of a sudden. And that's
Mhm.
really, I mean, we end up being like super indie and DIY, but like I never at any point was like, I'm a DIY band, you know, like I know that was not something that we set out to do. It was part of our ethos. Like I grew up loving Fugazi, you know, I grew up thinking that like people who took things into their own hands and were uh you know, hands on, and not just like letting you know, we don't want to like price gouge people, and we're very conscious of trying to be really you know, we can make things more reasonable and affordable if we cut out this and this, so that the customer and the you know, the fans are like feel taken care of. So
Mhm.
that's been the best part. The side effect of the having to kind of take more things hands on, um is that you can actually take care of people better, which is sort of part of my nature that I
Yeah.
for better or worse. I want everybody to be happy and feel taken care of.
Well, and I think that shows in most everything you guys do. But you mentioned getting a lot of credit for things like the events, but maybe not getting credit for something else you guys think you should. What are some of those things?
Oh, I don't know. I think maybe it's just me being like, we've been around for a long time, but we've never had like a moment of. I think there's this like I remember talking with our producer for this latest album, Kevin Ratterman, and he really liked the album, and like, I've got more positive feedback about this new record than any album we've ever made, and it's just been so positive, and just like really nice messages from people they're already connecting with it so early on, and I think it was just like I said to him after we finished making, I was like, I'm so proud of this record. This is maybe my favorite thing I've ever made, but I kind of just feel like it's not going to be mentioned in the bigger like press world. We're not going to see like a bunch of like 9-star reviews or whatever. And there's been some good reviews, and there's always I appreciate anybody like yourself who covers us, and but it doesn't break into the wider world and the bigger audience. I just knew that would sort of that's what always happens with us, and I think that's the sort of the double-edged sword of being a counterculture and like kind of like cult band. Is the best part of what you do is that you don't have to play ball with a lot of the stuff that comes along with just being out in the general public, but you also you miss opportunities that you're like, oh, I would have liked to have seen thoughtful critique of this album from somebody. I don't know, it's just it's impossible to not as an artist, it's impossible to not look at when you see somebody just getting this like glowing review of something that you're like, boy, I think that's really boring, or
Yeah.
that's not great, and it's impossible to not be like, well, I wish they'd say that about me. It's like, it's just that nature of wanting to be loved and like appreciated, and it's like it's fucking lame, but it's part of being an artist. Is I worked really hard on this. I made thousands of revisions to make it just right, as good as I could make it. Then when it was done, I really reflected on it. I still think it's quite good. And, and then you just want other people to think the same thing. You hope that you're getting through, and you hope that you're being subtle, but that you're grabbing them too. And you're not just hitting them over the head with something. And like, it's just the thousands of refined decisions you make requires such emotional investment that you just hope for the best, though. I mean, but it's cruel out there.
Sure.
People dismiss whatever, whether it's a movie or whatever. People are so quick to dismiss because there's so much being made in the world, so much media, so much everything, that like we're basically taught to just like listen to something for 30 seconds or watch the first 10 minutes of an episode and turn it off. So it's just part of our culture.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, somebody's gonna first hear a song from Spellbound in a 15-second chunk on TikTok, and that's probably going to be all that they ever hear.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm sure there's people who, like they're like heard the intro of a song and we're like, nope. And it's like, okay, like, cool.
Yeah.
And that's, that music might not be for that person, which is totally fine. But, you want to reach as many people that you think will enjoy it as possible. And that's the challenge, is like, where do you find these people? And what we've learned from many years of touring is you find them in the most unlikely of places. And kind of to go back to what I was saying before, is like, that's why we have gone out and played with all kinds of bands in the past, and why I'm always looking for different types of music to sort of get in front of their audience, just to see, well, what if we have a great rapport with somebody else's crowd that we've never played with or ever thought of before. Like when we went out with Clutch and played in Tulsa, I thought it was actually a great tour. And I don't think the bands have almost anything in common other than musicianship, maybe. Like they're very, very good players, but musically very different than what we do. But I think the fans who appreciate them for their technicality saw Sarah shredding the cello and were just like, I can get into this. And, I think that's it's cool when you're surprised like that. And that's why I've always when we first started touring, we were all over the place. We started playing with like just like indie bands, and then we branched out doing like, oh, okay, we're doing some punk, and then we played like emo started happening, and there's like emo bands that we did like a year of touring with. Like we toured with like My Chemical Romance once or twice, and then Thursday twice, and it was like those audiences had never generally heard music with strings in it, and like
Yeah.
that was great. Those were great tours. And then we like went out with like Rasputina, who was a cello rock band, like gothic Victorian, and it actually went pretty well. And we've jumped around so much over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember seeing you open for like the Sounds, maybe, and I definitely saw you open for Reverend Horton Heat at some point. Or you mentioned that in Tulsa, but
I can't remember the Sounds. I don't know if we did that one, but I mean, like we've done so many, like, we've dipped into like we did Against Me, we like Lucero, Gaslight Anthem, we co-headlined with Man Man. It's all over the place, really, and that's my favorite way to be. It's just like just get up there, do your job, hope people like it.
Nice, man. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate the time so much, and stoked for the show tomorrow night. And
thanks, man.
It'll be great. I think this will be my 24th Murder by Death show. So
I know I saw your name pop up on.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I know this guy.
Yeah, totally.
I was like,
totally.
I've mailed this dude some packages.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, yeah, so it's awesome. Obviously this is we're a mainstream rock station. We play Shine Down and Five Finger Death Punch and stuff, but it's cool when I get
I'm stoked that you're covering us.
Yeah. Whenever I'm able to go a little bit outside, I try to, for sure.
When I saw what the interview was for, I was like, awesome, this rules. Like, thanks, guys. I mean, I think it's great that you're doing it, because like that's not our typical world. So it's like whenever I see it, I'm stoked.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to what you were just saying about touring with whoever. It's, I think you guys have a pretty broad appeal when you get in front of the right people.
Yeah. And we'll take, we're happy for the opportunity. So thanks, man.
Indeed, man. We'll just see you tomorrow night.
See ya.